Gestalt theory was almost the first word I heard from the design school. It is the very basis of visual art and design. It is about how we perceive things around us, how we understand things we see. Okay, let's see each of them. Focal point. It's about grabbing viewers' attention by whatever stands out the most, whatever it's an image or text or icon or colored object, by size or color. If you make a design element stand out from everything around it, people see it first. So use that chance. Next one, similarity. It is about distinguishing groups of design elements with similar size and shape by color usually. Gestalt theory, Gestalt principles, Gestalt psychology. It's about human psychology, how humans perceive things around them, as I said. So people perceive, let me prepare my pen. People perceive these three as one group of things because it has a different color from the others around it. Proximity. We've covered a bit last time on the visual hierarchy lesson. It's about also distinguishing group of elements, but not by color, by sticking them together like this. Have some spacing between them, between others. Okay. Closure. What are you seeing from this? Pac-Man or a square? Well, both, right? Well, people are smart and logical. We try to see patterns and systematic orders from what we see. So we can see a black square from these 4 Pac-Mans. In other words, when you see an image that has missing parts, your brain will fill in the blanks and make a complete image so you can still recognize the pattern. For this case, a square. Continuation. You are seeing big X letter or multiplication sign from this, right? Even though these separate white circles are not connected to each other. So if the design elements that are arranged on a line or curve, they are perceived to be more related and grouped, or even seen as one. Law of symmetry, well, we do know about it, right, from the previous lesson. But why bring it here again? Gestalt theory principle, psychology. It is about perceiving separate things as one. We perceive symmetrical images as one group, not separate ones. Okay, simplicity. It is simple. You are seeing a house with window and a door, not as a strange pointy triangle on top of strange shaped squares, right? Okay, figure and ground. It is about seeing 2 things from one thing. You see a vase and 2 people are looking at each other, right? Here, 2 people looking at each other. Okay, final one, fairly simple. You've separated the elements by putting them in a box. Okay, let's see each of them in detail. Okay, the first one, focal point. To create focal point for your design element, you can use the contrast method we've just covered last time. If you want your design element, whether it's an image or text or anything, to be seen first from the viewers, you can make a contrast with typeface, color, size, and shape and scale, texture and orientation to make it stand out, to make the focal point. The first thing you see, right? Yes. Okay. Okay, I found these cool resources to create focal point with color contrasting colors. You use contrasting colors like warm and cool, neutral and saturated, or chromatic and achromatic, or light and dark, etc. Focal point with scale and size. It's obvious, right? You make it stand out with a larger or smaller element. Okay. Focal point with isolation. Here it says isolation, but you can say it created focal point with similarity and proximity rule. Also, you can create focal point with framing. It's it is a bit similar to the common region from the main Gestalt theories. A frame, a border, acts as a boundary to set something apart from the rest, which makes one inside the frame stand out from others inside the frame. Okay, so it creates common framing, common to make a framing. To make a focal point with framing, you can use white space. Here it has white space or borders. Yeah, like this border. You can use margin and cropping, etc. Okay, final one for focal point. It's kind of a new one. It's kind of new one. Creating focal point by pointing. Other design elements are pointing to the element that is supposed to stand out. These black boxes are helping the blue one to stand out by pointing it. It's kind of pointing it, right? Okay. Now we've seen the methods of creating focal point. Let's see when and how similarity is used in visual design. The principle of similarity is grounded on the idea that things which share visual characteristics such as shape, size, color, texture, value, or orientation will be seen as belonging together. In this example of a website, contents on all the green ones, all the green backgrounds are somehow links and buttons to go to the next page. So after 1 or 2 times of viewing the site, users would know that all the green ones have same types of content, which are the links to go next. So okay, if you look at this Behance example website, these squares has different contents from different artists, but it has similar shape and size and in the same hierarchical level of contents. Also these round ones as well, because it has similar shape and size. So because of Gestalt similarity rules, people understand that it has the same hierarchical level of contents. The same with the menu on top. Okay. Now proximity. Okay. It's simple but difficult to create one. When objects are placed together, people perceive them as a group, not separate leaves, not separate dots or lines, horizontal lines. Okay. You're seeing a U letter, you're seeing a dog, you're seeing a mountain. Is it a mountain? Okay. You're reading IBM from these lines that are close together. Proximity. Okay, next one is closure. When human mind sees a figure that seems loose or not fully closed, we have a tendency to close it up in our imagination. If there is nothing, you draw lines or feel color with your imagination. Wow, people are cool, right? Many famous logos make use of this principle as a way of standing out because it looks smart. Closure is one of the coolest Gestalt principles, so if you want to look smart and cool and stand out with your design, you've got to use this closure method. Keep in mind, you're feeling the line right here. And there's a peacock and panda's head and A. You're feeling it with your mind, right? Okay. Now, continuation. The law of continuity is also known as law of continuity, states that the human eye follows a path when viewing lines, regardless of how the lines were actually drawn. Guys, let me tell you something. I am a Potterhead. You might have guessed it because sometimes I use some ugly, no good whatsoever British accent. Sorry about that. Well, I've read Harry Potter books more than 5 times each. 7 of them. Don't even ask me about the movies, uncountable times. And I've used the magical theme in my design exhibition and even in my master's degree thesis. Do you believe me? So why am I saying this? Well, this one is one of my artworks I used in my design exhibition, and I used law of continuity from Gestalt theories here. I chose to use these footprints to make the viewers to see these as one path to follow like this. Like that. Okay. Mischief managed. Okay, I'm skipping symmetry here because we've covered it last time and I believe that you remember it. Now, next, simplicity. Well, simplicity is now almost everything you see. Logos, icons, buttons, and illustrations used in web and app user interface designs, in motion graphics, etc. Because people can perceive and understand what it is when they look at this kind of simplified one, because they've seen it before. Same with an apple and this armchair. Also, you can say from designer's view, you can simplify any complex objects into simplest form possible. Yes, simplicity is mostly used in logos because of it is simple in size and color. Also, it's flexible to use. Okay. Now, a figure and ground. Figure and ground. It is the most cool method used in visual design, and also it is the most difficult one to create. Figure ground, also known as negative space, is similar to the closure principle in that it takes advantage of the way the brain processes negative space. Our eye can separate the shapes in a design from the background of that design. Like this in here, you see a tree as a shape and as a figure, and gorilla and a tiger in the background. Figure is the tree and gorilla tiger is the ground. Figure and ground. You get it, right? Now, next, wolf. Where's the wolf? Wolf is the figure and Peter's head is the ground. Okay. A broken dish is the figure and a tree is the ground. You see it? Actually, it can be vice versa. The first thing you see is the figure and next is the ground. Everyone is different, don't worry. If you don't see Peter's head on the ground, don't worry. Okay, so how do we make this super cool design? You can use contrast method. Again, the high contrast between objects can lead to the perception of figure and ground easily. You know well about contrast from the previous lessons, color, saturation, shape, size, and texture, etc. Right? Here's an example I did as my homework for figure ground poster. What do you see first? Well, the title for this poster was "Excessive Drinking Ruins Families." I created someone's head crying with wine, and his or her eye is a glass. Okay. What about size? Images that appear to be larger will be perceived as closer and becomes the figure, while those are the smallest. A smaller will seem further away and part of the background. Blurriness method. Objects in the foreground tends to be crisp and distinct, while those in the background are blurry or hazy, like the trees in here. And the trees made the eye, and birds made the nose, and other branches made the lips, and her head is a cloud. Cool. Okay. Final method would be separation. An object isolated from everything else in a visual scene is more likely to be seen as a figure versus a background. This tree or pencil looks like perceived as a figure, and the background tree, rest of the tree, is ground. Okay. Now, final one, common region. Okay, common region is really useful in web and app user interface designing. It can help with information grouping and content organization, but it can also achieve content separation or act as a focal point. It boosts hierarchy, scannability, and assists in promoting information. The common region principle can hold together many different elements, keeping them unified within large groups. Okay, we can achieve it with use of line, color, shape, and shadow. It can often be used to bring elements into a foreground, indicating interaction or importance. Okay, like that. Okay, we are done with for today's class. Okay, see ya.